Hi, I'm Subina Shrestha. I'm from Nepal and my project is called Devi. I came across this subject quite early on in my career as a journalist at that time. Whenever there is war, there's definitely going to be a lot of sexual violence that happens, and that is the most unheard story, and that is a story that is always buried by the state. Devi, my protagonist, who goes and organizes women across the country. The film inspired her to talk about the rape and the kind of trauma that she went through. In the process of making the film, a movement started in Nepal. The process of making the film, process of telling her story, inspired her to get all these women together and really challenge the government to ensure that justice is delivered. And for the first time in 18 years, the government actually listened to her and listened to all the women. Like a whole bunch of women went and met the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister who also led the rebellion. And that kind of resistance from these women has meant that a post-conflict truth and reconciliation has included wartime rape. And so far, like in Nepal, a whole bunch of women, like over now 1,000 women have reached out to her, and this is a matter of 5 years. So the hope is, like with the wars going on across the world, and so many post-conflict nations where women are still unheard, like their stories are still buried, they've not ever received justice. And it is a very deep, traumatizing pain that they're living with. The hope is that their stories will be heard. It will inspire these women to speak out and challenge their government and the world to listen to them. And that wartime rape is never going to, or hopefully, that such atrocities are not going to happen anymore. With my protagonist, it made her, like we started out trying to make a 15-minute film about her. And in one of the first interviews with her, in the first sit-down interview, she asked me, what if 100 women went to the government and demanded justice? What would they do? And so that meant that we said, like, you know, if you want to do this, we'll figure this out. So it was our small team of, like, there were 3 women who started this project of, like, getting her to, like, you know, we were filming her going to these places, meeting women who didn't necessarily want to meet her because she hadn't spoken up for a very long time, but then eventually decided to talk to her. And really, when survivors speak to other survivors, then there is a bond. And it has opened the path for reparations and justice for all these women who have been silenced for the past 18 or more years since they were raped. Yes, it's kind of really made a difference in that way, but it's also made a difference in her own life and in her own articulation of what happened to her. And a lot of women have had similar experiences. I think it's difficult to tell stories from parts of the world that are excluded by the Western media without kind of thinking of the markets, right? It's financially debilitating to start a project like this as well. So those are kind of like practical things. Like when I started this project, it was like when Devi asked me that question, like, you know, as a woman, as a journalist, as a filmmaker, what do you do? Like when someone says, like, let's go and challenge the government, you have to take it up. It becomes a responsibility. And before that, she had given me a diary. Yeah, that was also like a huge responsibility that just got plunked on me. Like, it's often easy to say, like, you know, they won't be able to do anything because they're not educated or this or that. And then you suddenly realize their understanding as soon as you kind of, the input level is very little, the output is maximum output, right? So it's like a tiny bit of belief that you have to give to people. It's a tiny belief of faith, bit of faith to people who have not been given that, and then suddenly they can achieve so much. And that was something that I realized as I was making this film, that so many women in this world who have not being given that faith, if that was given to them, if just that little bit of belief, so much more could have been achieved in this world.